What is going on, guys? Today we're going to answer the age-old question. Are Cadillac frames the same? And by Cadillac frames, I'm basically meaning like rear-wheel drive Cadillacs from 77, I think, to 96. Could be wrong on the early years. I know 79 is the same, but I'm pretty sure it goes to 77, late 77, I want to say. Are they the same? No, they're not. End of video.
What seems to be the problem?
No, kind of, but kind of not. And the reason I want to make this video is so you don't have to make the same mistakes I make, because it sucks taking a torch to a freshly painted frame to cut some holes. So let me bring you in here. I'm going to show you the differences. This is the frame off of Struggle Of. It is a 93 Fleetwood. I'm going to show you the differences, as I just said. But before we get into it, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let's get to it. All right, most critical part. Is the frame itself the same? Yes. Yes, it is. 100% the same. All the body mounts are the same. Suspension mounts, same. Width, same. Length, same. You know, that's the biggest hurdle, really. It is technically the same frame. I'm going to show you the small amenities that are different that can cause a problem. First thing, motor mounts. They are different. I built a jig on the frame for Struggle Of, well, on the new frame for Struggle Of, and I built the jig off of this actual frame right here to locate my motor mounts, because I wanted to be able to just set the frame in the car, bolt the motors up, have no issues. And I went to bolt the motor mounts to this, which they are the same part number, I want to say, I'm pretty positive, but it wasn't working out. It didn't look right. So I built a jig to come off my arms and locate my mounts. And then I just drilled new holes. It did fit in to the motor perfectly, so obviously it was good. But yeah, they are different. They hung off the front a little bit more. LT1s, I want to say definitely hang off the front a lot more. I think like the front bolt maybe off the frame completely. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm just kind of spitballing that they are different here, so definitely keep that in consideration. Second is fuel lines. Usually that's what those little holes there are for. Those are also for motor mounts too. Had to learn that the hard way on Struggle Of. I usually cover those up, and I normally don't change out motor mounts, and if I do, I normally weld them in. But this one I bolted them in, so in case they had to be serviced, they can be. But yeah, that little hole there, that's a pretty easy access hole for them bolts. But yeah, I covered those up, so might not want to do that. But yeah, fuel lines on most of the 80s models, they come through there. 96, they come through up here. 93, they came through there. 80-ish, which was where my frame was from, it come through here. It was a driver's side mount. All right, reason I bring this up is because on the 80 model frame, there is no passage on the inside of the frame. Basically, coming back through here, it's solid. So I had to take a torch to that after painting the frame and kind of burn off some of the paint to make a passageway to be able to run my fuel line down the frame rail. And that kind of wasn't fun, you know. It kind of hurt my feelings a little bit, but had to be done. You know, got to get fuel up to the motor somehow. Also, going along with the fuel lines, I want to say I may be wrong on this one, but I do want to say on the 80s model, it has a little cutout relief, just like that right there, for the fuel pump. I could be wrong on that. I was going to go check out my Oldsmobile, but it's infested with hornets, so yeah, that didn't work out too well. And that's why I'm kind of making the video, because like I said, if you had a 96, I want to say the fuel line, it's one of these two, it just has a bigger hole. But yeah, definitely, it does have a fuel line on this side for the LT1s, so you'll definitely have to put that in there, you know, before painting your frame. That'll definitely save you a headache in the long run. All right, third thing, ABS. You know, they didn't have ABS in the 80s, well, at least not in Cadillacs. You know, I want to say 93 was the first year ABS was actually introduced to vehicles. But yeah, they got ABS pump on this one, so you got to have your bolt holes to mount that. As far as everything else goes, you don't really have to relocate a whole lot of stuff. As far as I seen everything bolted up fairly easy. I more or less just set it on there, kind of line stuff up, knock my holes in there. You can see in the last video I did of swapping the frame on Struggle Of, I showed how to tap them holes really easy, so check that out. And you do have a few extra holes. These are to mount the brake lines and the fuel lines. All right, the fourth thing, transmission mounts. Could be a pretty big problem depending on what year frame you use. I want to say some of them mount in here. I'm trying to kind of remember how it was. But yeah, the 93 mounts here. The 80 that I had, the 80 frame, I want to say it mounted back here. Yeah, I think so. It mounted back here, so I had to re-drill holes further up. Wasn't a huge deal. You know, the car was painted, unfortunately, so I did have to drill through that, but I just put a little bit of paint on a brush and wrapped it around the hole, and it worked out good. Like I said, not a huge deal. You can see here there is another transmission mount, obviously for some other platform, but the 93 had them here. The 80s, I want to say it had it back here. And if I remember correctly, this one worked out fine. I didn't have to drill this. I just had to drill the driver's side. Also, with that being said, the transmission cross member, they're different throughout the years. I want to say like 79 through 80s, they're the same, but I definitely know 94 through 96, it's way wider. It makes a funny little swoop. It has arches for both exhaust pipes because they're dual exhaust. I think the 93, it's kind of similar to the 80s model, except it's got the little dampening rings on each side. That's about really the only difference, but try and stick with your original cross member that's going in your vehicle. That'll definitely help you out. And fifth will be the air compressor. On 93s, it is mounted to the frame, which I learned that on this car. 94 through 96, it's, I guess technically it's still mounted on the frame, but it's up in the driver's side wheel well. So you're gonna have a different location for that. You'll have to drill new mounts, you know, make bolts if you're gonna run an air compressor, I guess. So if you're building a car that doesn't have hydraulics, you want to run the air compressor, you'll have to drill new mounts to relocate it. Most of us just ditch it, so, you know, useless fact for you. All right, 6. There's 2 brake lines back here on a 93 through 96. They have independent ABS brake lines. You can drill another hole. That's what I did on the Struggle Loves frame. You know, I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was going to be an issue, so I just kind of pre-did it. But yeah, they got 2 different holes on 93 through 96. 80s just have 1, so kind of keep that in consideration also. All right, 7. If you're going to an older frame to a newer frame, you'll have to switch over these mounts here. There's a few of them that go down the frame. One that goes in there, one that goes right there. I think one that goes somewhere in there. I think it's on the side of the frame. But you have to swap those over also. Not a big deal, just drill a hole and put your mount in there. And 8, if you're going to use ABS, you need to put your mounts over there. You got one over there on the inside of the frame rail. They connect to the trailing arms, go down. To be honest, my Fleetwood doesn't have ABS. The Blue Rose didn't have ABS. Struggle Love doesn't have ABS, and I have no issues out of it. With that being said, my black Fleetwood, it does have ABS. It's all stock, and I get a traction control light. How? I don't know. My tan one doesn't get traction control. Blue Rose never had traction control issues. No light. So, yeah. Use your discretion at that one, I guess. And there's kind of what I'm talking about with ABS lines. This is the front. You know, you got your ABS mounts right there. You know, if you're going to be running those, you definitely want to drill those before paint. A-arms, uppers, lowers, trailing arms, uppers, lowers, they're the same throughout all the years. Differentials, they are different. As far as like gearing, the mounts are all the same, but gearing and styles of the rear end, they got different differential covers throughout the years. Obviously 93 through 96 has ABS sensors in the rears, has tone rings on the axles, so there is a definite difference there. But all your mounting, like your spring mounts, bushings, all that's the same. So that's one thing to keep in consideration there. So there you have it. The main issues, I would say, fuel lines, like I said, the inside of the frame, transmission mount. Everything else can pretty much easily be fixed after paint. Yeah, you're still drilling through fresh paint, but it's gonna be covered up by either a clip or a plug or something like that. So, you know, granted it's on the frame, it's gonna be under the car, it's not that noticeable, but still, you know, drilling through fresh paint, that kind of sucks. And the transmission mounts, they would be on the bottom side, so it would be something that, you know, is seen, so it need to be touched up. Like I said, not that huge of a deal. I did have to do mine afterwards, but making this video kind of trying to save you having to do that, because it's kind of a bummer. Hopefully it helps you out, kind of answers some age-long questions. I've been hearing that question ever since I got on Lay It Low in like 2000. You know, I dove into this, you know, knowing that it should fit, but also had to jump some hurdles I didn't know about, you know, so kind of why I'm trying to share it with you guys so you don't have to jump those hurdles. Anyways, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Don't forget, you won't know what you can do till you try. So I'll see you on the next one. Appreciate you guys watching. Get at it.